Okay, so this is a video on how to deploy multiple Cassandra nodes on EC2. And this is basically the simplest way that you can get this running. So first, we want to deploy some EC2 instances. I recommend using Ubuntu version 18 because the installation of Cassandra is very quick and very straightforward with Ubuntu. So here we're just gonna use T2 micros. We can deploy 3 instances. Storage here doesn't really matter. For security groups here, we wanna add port 80 and then open it to anywhere, as well as port 9042 and port 7000. So basically we're on the first step here. And then these are the security groups that we need to open here to the public. Then we will launch here. I'm just going to use a existing pair that I have here. Okay. So now let's SSH into these different instances. I'm just going to rename them Cassandra 1. Cool. So now let's connect to them. Okay, gonna connect to the other ones as well. Okay, so once we have these instances up and running, the next thing we're gonna do is install Cassandra on all of them. I found this guide to be pretty helpful, pretty straightforward. So we're just gonna run these commands one by one, all of them. Okay, so now make sure that you install Java version 8 for Cassandra. You should be able to check the version with this command. Okay. We're just gonna keep on installing these. These are the other commands. And now we're gonna install Cassandra. We're just gonna do a quick apt update, and then install Cassandra. So once the installation is complete, you can check the status of Cassandra with this command. But when you first install, you might have to wait a little bit until this is actually up and running. Okay, so these ones are up and running. Cool. So by default, the address are all localhost. So now we need a way to connect these different nodes. So for this, we'll have to play around with the configuration file. And you can find it here. And then cd into Cassandra. And then use vim to modify the YAML file. So the most important settings that you want to change are these three. The broadcast address. We want to set this to the EC2's public IP and add the other node's IP address into the seed section, and then set the listen address to the local IP of that node. So for example, this one is the instance that has a public address of 13.56.157.91. So the first thing we're going to change is the broadcast address. I have gone too far. Okay, so okay, actually we can change the seeds first. So here, essentially, you can find the public address of all of the instances. So this one is the one that starts with 13, so we're on this one. What we want to do is we want to have the other nodes as the seeds. So we'll just copy paste the IP address here. And then we'll just modify the seeds here. And then we would add the other public IP as well. And next, we're gonna find the broadcast address, which should be around here. Okay, so we have the listen address here. We want to set the listen address here to be the private IP of our current instance. So you can find the private IP here. And then the broadcast address, here it is. We want to set this to our public IP address. So this is the IP that other nodes can't connect to. And then we'll just save this. So let's go ahead and make the changes for the other nodes as well. So here for the seeds, we will add the IP of the other two nodes. So this one will just take 13.56. Oops. 13.56. Okay, something weird is happening. I'll just copy paste from here directly. And then we'll add the other one. So this one is the one starting with 54, 215, and then 65, which is this one. So we want the other one. Okay, didn't copy. There you go. Cool. Now let's modify the broadcast address and listen address for this one. So listen address, we want this to be set to the private IP of our current node. And then for the broadcast address, we want to set this to the public IP. Done. Let's do the same thing for the other one. Can just do sudo vim directly. Okay, so we're on this one, and we're gonna add the address of the other two nodes. Going to set the listen address to the private IP of that node. And the broadcast address here to the public IP. Cool. Now that we have made all the changes here, all we have to do now is just really just run these commands. We're gonna flush the cache with the initial system, and then we're gonna restart Cassandra on all of them. And we'll just give a little bit of time for Cassandra to restart and for the nodes to communicate. So something that we could do is actually look at the log and see what's happening. So the logs for Cassandra are actually in this directory. You can find it here in the log folder. And then go into Cassandra. And then we can look at the end of the system log. Okay. So let's check the status. Okay, so we have these three nodes now connected. We have added 3 nodes to the same cluster. So let's give it a try. Let's look into the key spaces. Okay, let's create something simple. Create key space. Key space Cassandra. let's do something simple. Test table with replication, and then maybe just put 1 for now. And now if we look at the other nodes, check their status. Okay, everything looks fine. Let's see if the data here would appear in our other nodes. Okay, so we have our test table. Now let's try maybe to insert some data. Okay, so create table, hello, and then we'll just set up something basic. Okay, looks good. And then we're gonna insert something. Insert data Cassandra. Okay. The key space name was named test table dot hello. And then here we have to specify the schema ID name, and then insert some dummy values. Dummy. Okay. Okay, so it looks like we might be missing something. This might need to be a string. Cool. Let's see if it works. Okay, and now let's see if this data would appear in our other nodes. Okay, so it's working. We have connected 3 different nodes on 3 separate EC2 instances. And that's about it.